Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. My name is Wadava for those who are new here, and for those who are returning, thank you so much for returning and thank you so much for being here. A huge shout out to the new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and welcome to the family. And to everybody that has been liking, sharing and engaging me in the comment section, I see you and I really appreciate you. Very often I get asked how I travel alone and how I travel alone as a woman. And so in today's video, I'm going to get into that. Everything that I'll be sharing in today's video is from my own personal experiences. And so yeah, with no further ado, let's get into this video. I love traveling. I love traveling with people. I love traveling in groups. I love traveling. But when traveling with people or when traveling in a group is not possible, I still travel because nothing is gonna stop me from traveling. But when it comes to traveling alone, one has to take a lot of things into consideration, and so yeah, I'm gonna break that down. Before I get into the advantages and disadvantages of solo traveling, I must say that solo traveling has taught me to listen. It has taught me to be very mindful. It has taught me to be kind of woke. It has taught me to be very aware and very present. As much as you're sitting by yourself and you're reading a book or you have headphones on, when you're solo traveling, you learn to be a good listener and to be very mindful of your environment. And personally, solo traveling has taught me to be a listener. I've learned to listen to my body. I've learned to listen to my environment. I've learned to listen to people's motions. I've learned to listen to vibes and energies, because when you're traveling, a lot of that is released from people. And if you're not mindful, you could get yourself in a very dangerous situation because you weren't paying attention or you weren't picking up on the signs around you because you're so lost in your phone or so lost in thoughts or whatever the case is, which sometimes happens to me. And when it does happen, I have to snap out of it. I have to snap out of it for the sake of myself. So we're going to get into the disadvantages of solo traveling, because I feel like my advantages of solo traveling are more than my disadvantages. So solo traveling, I think the first thing that's quite obvious is that when you're traveling by yourself, it can be very expensive compared to when you're traveling with a group. All costs are on you. That's your hotel or your Airbnb, that's your blah blah ride, that's your train ride, that's your flight. Everything is on you, as when you were traveling with a group, you would share costs. Even when it comes to meals, even if the cost of a meal was on you, you'd have the variety of being like, okay, you order this kind of pizza and I'll order this kind of pizza, and then we can, like, you know, share half. But when you're traveling alone, none of that happens. None of that, yeah. All of it is on you. When you're traveling in a group, a lot of times you hardly consider safety, especially when you're traveling in a mixed group, meaning a mixed group as in male and female. You hardly consider safety because naturally the guys are more like, you know, looking out for the girls, and the girls are just chilling or whatever the case is. I hardly chill when it comes to my safety, but I'm not as mindful of my safety when I'm traveling with a group of people mixed with guys, because a lot of times they always help me out if I'm in trouble or whatever. When you're traveling alone, you have to be super mindful of your safety. A lot of times you have to consider, is it safe? Will I be safe? You have to look into it and be like, is it okay for a black woman to go there? These are things I look at. Unfortunately, we live in a world where, even though it's not much spoken of, as black people, when you go to certain places, you might not be welcomed, and it happens, okay? It happens, and you just need to do a lot of research of the area you're going to. This is what I do when I'm traveling, especially when it comes to safety. I always look into the area beforehand. I do my research. You don't want to find yourself in an area where you're not supposed to be, firstly, as a woman, as a black woman, as a solo traveler. You don't want to find yourself in situations like that just because you didn't do your researches beforehand or whatever the case is. So when I am solo traveling, I do look into my safety. I look in to make sure that all the activities I've planned for my trip are safe for me. and what hours can I be out in these areas. And I always take all these factors into consideration before I even book my trip. Another thing is that traveling alone can be lonely. There's nobody to talk to, there's nobody to laugh with, there's nobody to eat jam with, there's nobody to share moments with. For example, you see a very beautiful sunset, you can't be like, oh wow, look at that beautiful sunset, because you're by yourself. So you talk to yourself a lot. I talk to myself a lot when I'm solo traveling. I think out loud a lot. A lot of times when I am traveling, I have my earphones on. So I think a lot of people think that I'm probably talking on the phone or whatever the case is, but I talk to myself a whole lot. And then the last thing that's quite probably the hardest is taking pictures. When I started solo traveling, I used to just take selfies and get it over and done with, right? And then the more I solo traveled, like, then I would ask people like, can you please take a picture of me? And then they would just take one picture, and then you go check it out and it's like so blurry, or like it's like yeah, it's just not happening. And then now I just ask people like, can you please take 5 pictures of me? Literally, I say the number of pictures I want, because out of 5 pictures you would find 1 or 2 good pictures. If you only ask for 1 picture, then that's it. Then you have to wait until you can ask another person for a picture. Now we're gonna get into the nice parts. So when it comes to disadvantages of solo traveling, for me, from experience, those would be my disadvantages. But before I get into my advantages, I need to explain my ring. I got this ring. I've had a few rings, but I always have a ring. Reason being that prior to getting a ring, I always had unnecessary attention drawn to me for whatever reason. And then when I started traveling with a ring on my finger, I noticed the difference. It has worked wonders for me because it keeps unwanted attention from me personally. Now we're going to get into the advantages of solo traveling. When you're solo traveling, you will meet great people. You will meet really nice people. You will make friends. A lot of people are strangers, but I feel like they're not really strangers. They're just friends you have not met. I easily make friends. I easily connect with people, and I love that about myself. Since I started solo traveling, I think I've become a better problem solver and a good decision maker. Ooh, this is probably a big one. Solo traveling has pushed me to learn a foreign language. I live in France at the moment, and the French don't speak English because I'm still in my comfort zone. A lot of times I start with, hi, do you speak English? And a lot of times they say a little bit, but if they don't speak English, I try to speak French to ask for direction. A lot of times I use Google Translate too because it's quite efficient. But I also push myself to speak French because I am learning French. The other thing I really love about solo traveling is the power of being anonymous. Like, nobody knows you. You can be whoever you want. you can be whoever you want to be. I think having solo traveled for a while now, it's not easy. It can be difficult, and the confidence that comes from finishing a solo trip by yourself is, for me, like most rewarding, because I conquered streets, and I conquered Google Maps, and I conquered language barrier, and I conquered my fears, like maybe my comfort zone. Like, I conquered myself. And I think that's the one thing solo traveling gives you. It gives you the opportunity to discover yourself just a little bit deeper, because you learn so much about what you like, what you don't like, what kind of traveler are you. You learn those things by sometimes doing solo trips. Sometimes you won't be able to find out what kind of traveler you are if you're traveling in a group, because a lot of times you are doing things according to majority, or according to like, okay, yeah, let's just go with that because you like it, I don't mind. There's no going with the flow when you're traveling alone. You have to make decisions that are best and decisions that are good for you. And I think like there is nothing that boosts my confidence more than navigating like unfamiliar territories and unfamiliar cultures. Like, there's nothing that boosts my confidence when I go into a shop and and order something in French, or ask for a question in French, or I got lost and I find my way again. Like, I am like on top of the world after those ordeals. I'm on top of the world. And the most important thing that I love about solo traveling is that all the empowerment, all the boldness, all the growth, all those things that I achieve as a solo traveler are all evident after my trip. I'm still confident after my trip. I'm confident that I can overcome getting lost, because I've gotten lost way too many times. I'm more bold in the decisions that I make. I'm more firm in the choices that I'm making. I'm just a bit more empowered, and those things are birthed or created through my solo trips, but then they are everlasting results. They are continuously there in your life, in your daily life. And for me, that's literally the best thing that I love about solo traveling. All those growth and the little things that I pick up on my solo trips or on my trips, they all remain with me. They all remain with me, and I love it. I live for that. And yeah, so we've come to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this far. If you have gotten this far, I really appreciate you. If you have gotten this far and you've not subscribed to my channel yet, please do hit the subscribe button. It is free to subscribe. It will help me a whole lot, and I would appreciate your support. And to everybody that is subscribed and you have watched this far, thank you so much once again. Do come through in the comment section. Tell me about your trips. Tell me about what you pick up from your solo trips, what other tips that you have based on your travels. And do not forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll see you in the next video.